Hi ho, Keegan the Vlog here. Some extra content today, some DeLorean content today actually. So on this car, a couple of things. We've got the group that I'm doing the car stuff with has a drive coming up here on the 17th of June. So I'm going to be driving the DeLorean. I have done a couple of things, put a new radio in it just because I hated the Clarion that I had in there before. It was all like this touch surface thing and it didn't really work right. It's just clunky to use and took too much attention to deal with the user interface. It was terrible. So I just got a regular old Pioneer that I've been putting in all my cars because it's cheap and easy and it has all the stuff that I need for it. However, today, one of the things about this car, if I haven't already talked about this, there's a YouTube video, a VinWiki story about this specific car. This was Casey Puch's DeLorean when he was in college. And I bought it from him in 2003. And in the video, he tells a story about breaking the aerial, the antenna off the back because, and this is true story, when he sold me the car, he pulled out a stack of parking garage tickets about this thick. I'm like looking at it like, whoa, what's the deal with that? He's like, oh yeah, the car is low enough that it goes underneath the parking garages, but you gotta watch out for the antenna when it's up because he broke it. So the radio was on, he drove under the parking garage gate and broke the radio antenna aerial. So I never bothered to fix it because frankly I don't really listen to a lot of radio, and I had a Bluetooth phone connection to my stereo. So if I was road tripping or doing anything in the car, I always had another source of entertainment. But while I'm in here dealing with this stuff, I was putting some body screws on and stuff and reading the procedure for replacing this antenna. I thought might as well go ahead and do it. So let me show you the old antenna. So here is the one that Casey tells about breaking back in the early 2000s. It's been in the car ever since. So we just got this out. And the new one, we've got the new one just wired up for testing purposes. And it's a little bit different than the OG, okay? So it only has 3 wires coming off of it. And there's a subtle difference between this remanufactured or whatever you call it, a repurposed alternate part that sort of works. Doesn't quite fit the bracket, but little bracket modification, we're good. And the wiring's a little bit different because the relay for operation is built into this unit, whereas on the original car, it is right there. So wiring came from hot in the circuit breaker, or the circuit box, and relay wire from the radio converged here into this relay, and then this relay powered the old antenna. So we basically just took this relay out of the equation. So we wired the antenna directly to the radio, and this was a little bit of a challenge to figure out because this actually is the original car's wiring for the antenna, and it's kind of an afterthought because this was a modification to the car. So none of these wires actually match the connectors or anything else. So it kind of looked like, couldn't quite figure out what was going on. It kind of looked like it was an aftermarket install thing, which kind of was, but it was done by DeLorean. And the confusing part was the wire makes its way over to the box here, and it was disconnected, I'm sure, because the antenna was broken. So the question then became, well, where in the world does this thing get power from? And luckily there was a tech article on support.delorean.com that mentioned it comes from the hot side of the window regulator circuit breaker, which is here, which actually makes sense because the connector that was on it, that's really the only place it fits in here. So we plugged that back up, and once we did that, and we give ourselves power to the radio, aerial works. A couple of other projects I'm going to do on the car while I've got it. in this precondition to go on this drive is if you see those, the lenses on the marker lights are in pretty bad shape. In actuality, on the other side, neither one of the lights work on the other side, and trying to track down a wiring issue inside the car, there was no issue inside the car. It was actually the socket for the lights. Both sockets were the wires were broken off the sockets, and the sockets were pretty ratty looking. Here's one of them that came out. This one's pretty nasty. So, of course, DeLorean sells a kit. We got 4 new ones, 8 new bulbs, because I figure they'll burn out at some point. New screws to go through it, seats for the screws, gaskets, and lenses for both sides. So probably not going to replace the sockets on the sides that are working, because they're working and they look all right. So we will replace the lenses and the gaskets, and we'll have the pieces in case these do ever fail. We've seen the common failure mode, and we have the repair pieces that will be in a box ready to go if we ever need them again. So let's get those on there. got the bracket and the antenna. We got it all wired up. So we're going to put that on. It's tested. It's working. So we're just going to complete that project. And for the first time in at least 20 years, this car is going to have a working aerial. So show you what we got here. So here is the antenna setup in the DeLorean. This bracket bolts in behind the driver's side rear light, and a little bit of modification to the bracket to get the new style antenna to mount up to it. Some shimming. It's nice and tight in there now. So we will fit it and test it and then torque it down. Other projects with the DeLorean, pretty standard that when you get into a project, something else breaks. In this case, some 40-year-old plastic. So we got some crazy glue out and some clamps, and we're gonna try to patch this thing up as best as possible. It was just kind of flimsy, and on inspection, all these little stud holes are cracked along the seams. So we'll just see if we can tighten that up a little bit while it is apart.